welcome to yet another fundamental lesson. Today's lesson will be all about getting comfortable with your own company. Your happiness and success in reaching your visions and dreams depends on this. Let's look at the learning objectives for today's lesson. 1. Why do you need to bother getting comfortable in your own presence? 2. The power of being at rest when alone. Difference between loneliness and solitude. And finally, how to re-acquaint yourself with your own company. Let's start with the first topic. Why do you need to bother getting comfortable in your own presence? In this world where adventures, incessant travels, social media posts and achievements are valued and recognized over time spent in solitude, reflecting on the why, what, and how comes of life, the outcome is consistently the same. We produce a community who are unable to be at peace and rest when they are left to themselves, alone in their own presence. It frightens some, causes anxiety to others, and for many, deep distress and even depression. We all know the saying, there's safety in numbers, and that we are in essence social creatures in need of healthy social contact and interaction. While that may be true, when it comes to things like physical safety and healthy interpersonal contact, when it comes to your emotional well-being, being comfortable with your own company is key to holding your self-sufficiency in the way you choose to live your life. Sure, it's nice to have friends and family around to help us through tough times, but at the end of the day, we need to be able to rely on ourselves. That means being comfortable with our own thoughts, feelings, and our very own company. We are hardwired to crave connection and interaction with others. This is why when we find ourselves alone, it can feel uncomfortable, even scary. But there's nothing wrong with being comfortable with your own company. In fact, it's actually quite healthy and something to strive towards. The problem arises when we are not comfortable with our own company. Physical and mental consequences. Mentally, we may start to feel anxious, stressed, or even depressed when we don't have consistent company from friends or family. We may start to doubt ourselves and our ability to cope with life on our own. Physically, we may start to experience health problems such as insomnia, headaches, or stomach aches. We may also find ourselves turning to unhealthy coping mechanisms like alcohol or drugs to fill this void which we haven't learned how to fill. The bottom line is that being uncomfortable with your own company is not only unhealthy for you, it can be dangerous. Unfortunately, far too many of us are not comfortable when we find ourselves alone. We're constantly seeking out distractions, whether it's mindlessly scrolling through social media, watching TV, or letting it run in the background as a comfort noise, playing radio throughout the day, or anything else that takes our focus away from ourselves. And while there's nothing wrong with taking a break from time to time, when it becomes a crutch, it can be dangerous. Secondly, external dependence for happiness. Remember that when we are not comfortable with our own company, we're not really in control of our lives. We are placing ourselves dependent on external factors and other people all the time for our happiness and sense of contentment. Every day, depending on how that external contact with your own self goes, it then affects your mood and ability to be productive. You'll always be chasing after something or someone, and you'll never be truly content. That's no way to lead an authentic and self-assured life. Thirdly, it's unsustainable and unrealistic to expect consistent company. We can plan to have people and sound around us throughout the day and night, but we will find that when we can be in a crowd but still be lonely. In fact, the more we need to be surrounded by people and noise incessantly, the more the chances are that we are in effect very lonely people. How long can we sustain having the same people around us anyways? Our children will move on with their own commitments at some stage. Our partners will start to get annoyed if we constantly display signs of codependent behavior, and our friends, they have dreams and goals to achieve for themselves. Which brings us to the second topic for today: the power of being at rest when alone. PowerPoint 1. You can be truly free. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is truly free, said author Schopenhauer. We cramp our working life schedules full to the brim with activities, tasks, and appointments, and when we retire, we plan to pack it again with plans to travel with friends and for adventures we didn't have the time or money for earlier on. We are used to raising the workaholic, the restless beings on a pedestal as our role model, and then we wonder why our hearts are troubled and unable to rest when the light dims down, the sounds fade, and it's time to be with ourselves. We find that we are actually strangers with our own being and uncomfortable to be left alone in the stranger's company. We don't know what we should be thinking or telling ourselves. We try to call or text someone to distract us, but we will never escape the inevitable fact. The only consistent company we will ever have in this life is but our own self. You owe it to your own self to free yourself from these chains. PowerPoint number 2. You'll be more productive. This is because you won't be wasting time and energy on social interactions that you don't really want to have. You can focus on what's important to you and get more done, and this could save you hundreds of hours over a few weeks itself. PowerPoint number 3. You'll be more relaxed. This is because you won't be stressed and anxious with the need to constantly be on the lookout for additional social interactions to fill the forthcoming weekend hours and vacant schedule. You can relax and enjoy your own company without feeling like you're missing out on life, and without falling for error that time spent by yourself is not life truly well lived. PowerPoint number 4. You'll be more connected to yourself. This is because you'll be spending more time alone, which will give you the opportunity to really get to know and appreciate yourself. You can learn more about who you really are, what you want in life, and what makes you genuinely joyful. PowerPoint number 5. You can be more present in the now. When you're not worrying about what others think of you, you can be more present in the joy of the current moment. You'll be able to enjoy the company of others more and the experiences you're having, instead of being lost in your own thoughts about what else you need to say, how to impress another with your words or actions or accomplishments. Now let's talk about the differences between loneliness and solitude. There is a huge difference between solitude and loneliness. Loneliness is a state of feeling loss of connection with others, marked by despair and hopelessness. Loneliness can be experienced even by those who are comfortable with their own presence when alone, but it negatively affects those who are uncomfortable when alone significantly more. Solitude, on the other hand, is the healthy and positive state of being alone without feeling lonely. It is a direct offshoot of one who is very comfortable with their own company. May Sarton put the relationship between loneliness and solitude quite bluntly and simply. Loneliness is the poverty of self. Solitude is the richness of self. You may remember the words of William Wordsworth from your school days. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. We need to look forward to reaching the state where we start thriving and enjoying the treasures which solitude holds within. Now we need to go to how we can reacquaint ourselves with our own company. And how do we start getting cozy with solitude? Here is the secret. value it and invest in spending time with you. It doesn't happen automatically. We need to learn to value it first and then plan to schedule times of solitude into our lives regularly. Learn to set apart time to be alone, read books by yourself, learn a craft, write your own thoughts down and reflect on them. Grapple with the questions which have never been answered by philosophers and others till date. You don't necessarily need to find the answers, but it's important you interrogate them yourself. If you find that you're constantly seeking out distractions and avoiding being alone, it's time to make a change. Start by spending just 1 hour a day sitting with yourself in silence. That's it, just 1 hour. What will you schedule for that hour? Something you had previously identified in your happiness points or freedom points would be a good start. See how it feels. If it's uncomfortable at first, that's normal. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll become. And as you become more comfortable with your own company, you'll start to see the benefits in all areas of your life. You'll be more productive, more creative, more focused. You'll also find it easier to handle tough emotions because you won't be running away from them. Albert Camus, in his notebooks 1951 to 59, wrote this: "Find meaning. Distinguish melancholy from sadness. Go out for a walk. It doesn't have to be a romantic walk in the park. Spring at its most spectacular moment. Flowers and smells and outstanding poetical imagery smoothly transferring you into another world. It doesn't have to be a walk during which you'll have multiple life epiphanies and discover meanings no other brain has ever managed to encounter. Do not be afraid of spending quality time by yourself. Find meaning or don't find meaning, but steal some time and give it freely and exclusively to your own self. Opt for privacy and solitude." When we have reached a point of becoming comfortable with our own company, we will find that restlessness and longing to be surrounded by background noise and chatter lose their influence over our lives. We need to work towards arriving at a stage of our lives where we can be alone but not lonely. For being at peace with oneself starts with not just accepting the fact that we are in essence mostly alone in this journey of life and making peace with this constant companion, but embracing the beauty and solace in this walk with our own being. Thank you for being with me in this lesson, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.